going to go up in his 1990 Eagle Talon against Andrew Joseph from Mattapoisett, 1975 Chevy Vega. They're set, they're off, down into turn number 1. The defending champion, he gets out to an early advantage, off of 2, down back, Carlito Mello into 3 and 4. Off of 4, checkered flag waves, Carlito Mello. Going to begin the defense of his 2024 championship season on the right foot. Paul Curtis from Centerville, Mass. They are at the stripe. They are set to go. Curtis and Perry down into turn number 1. Give the advantage to Curtis on the outside. Perry battling back. Down into 3 and 4. Perry, your leader, checkered flag waves. Corey Perry moving on over Paul Curtis. Two heavy hitters here in our Spectator Drag division. Give the advantage to Daniels down into 1 and 2 in that Subaru Outback. Running to the checkered flag. Jeff Daniels going to move on to the next round. Green flag in the air. Little hesitation. Oliveira with the advantage. Here comes Diaz battling back from the line. Diaz with the nose advantage. He's going to check out and clear Oliveira into 3 and 4. Here comes Oliveira battling back on the low line. Who's it going to be? At the stripe, it's Oliveira. That was a good little battle. Oliveira will move on. Diaz on the high line. Williams on the low line. Green flag is out. Mello has the nose advantage. Off of turn 2, down the backstretch. Carlito Mello into 3 and 4. Checkered flag waves at the stripe. Carlito Mello moving on. Two heavy hitters here. Green flag in the air. Gerard gets a great jump over Daniels. Off of 2. Coming right into that bumper of Gerard. Down into turn 3 and 4. Here comes Daniels with a head of steam. Off of 4. Not enough time. Brennan Gerard going to move on over Jeff Daniels. Quite a battle there. Green in the air. Carlito Mello shifting down into turn 1. Off of 2. Down the back. Head of steam into 3 and 4. Doesn't have enough time. Mello off of 4. Checkered flag waves. He takes the checkered flag. Carlito Mello moves on. Liam Monahan from Rehoboth. Brennan Gerard. Green in the air. Down into turn 1 and 2. Monahan. Down into 3. He's got a head of steam. Gets a nose out front. Not going to be enough time. Liam Monahan off 4 and across the stripe. Checkered flag waves. Liam Monahan moving on. DeRoche's down low. Smith up top. Here we go. Down into turn 1. DeRoche's with the advantage. Smith battling back. Smith going to check out to the lead into turn 3. Here comes DeRoche's battling back. Checkered flag waves. Smith moving on. Monahan. Down into one. Mello. Gonna have to battle back. Here he comes down the back stretch. Carlito Mello. Does he have enough time? Liam Monahan down low. Monahan with the advantage. Is Monahan gonna knock Mello off? Yes, he will. Checkered flag. Liam Monahan knocking off the 2024 champion there. Mello on the high line. DeRosa's down low. DeRosa needs a good jump down into turn one. Here comes turn down the back stretch. Into turn 3 and 4. Mello gonna get loose. Hangs onto it. DeRosa's comes across the stripe. Checkered flag. Boomtown, New Jersey, a Chevy Corvette 1990. First Spectator Drags of 2025. Monahan with the advantage. Off two, down the back stretch for the final time. Into 3 and 4. Does Smith have anything for him? Goes high. Gets a little loose. Here comes Monahan across the stripe. Checkered flag. Liam Monahan wins your East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drag kickoff of the 2025 season. Mello, down low. Gerard, up high. Green, in the air. Down into one. Mello, gonna trail here. High line. Mello looking low. Into 3 and 4. Carlito Mello, the defending champion, out in round 1. Gerard takes the top line around. Smooth sailing, sends Carlito Mello pit side, and Gerard gonna move on. Wow. Green flag in the air. Liam Monahan, nose advantage, down into one. Kazuna's gonna push him up the track. Kazuna's gonna take the advantage down the back stretch. Here comes Monahan. Kazuna's gonna try to slam the door into 3 and 4. Monahan with a head of steam on the outside. Here they come across the stripe. Oh, hold on. Wow, that was a photo finish.
And our scorers, because we don't make the calls, the scorers are saying red.
So that would be Liam Monahan moving on.
That was close. Boy, he needed every mile there.
That he did. Next up, it'll be the sob of Anthony Cullinan from Providence Road, the Mustang. Here we go, green's out. Down into one, give the nose advantage to the Mustang, Taccio. Here comes the Toyota battling back up top. Down the back stretch, give Razamanos the nose advantage into 3 and 4. It's gonna be a battle though here, in 4. Nose to nose, door to door, off of 4, give the advantage at the stripe to the Mustang. Taccio gonna move on.
Well, it's a good thing because you really would have been harassed if you lost.
Green's out. Down into 1 and 2. Give the advantage to Jutras. Here comes Diaz battling back up top. Down the back stretch. Jutras with the nose advantage, not so fast. Diaz with the advantage in 3 and 4. Here comes Jutras battling back down low. Checkered flag in the air. Give it to Diaz.
Pontiac excitement right there on the outside.
Gerard set. Perry set. Green flag out. Gerard dropping Carlito Mello in round 1, looking to drop Corey Perry here. Brandon Gerard into 3 and 4. Here comes Perry down low. Coming to the stripe. Whoa, another photo finish.
The Pontiac with the excitement on the inside.
Corey Perry gonna move on over Gerard and another thriller there. Monahan, Liam Monahan, 1989 Chevy Camaro, week 1 winner in our coming to the stripe. Matt DeRoche is going to move on.
Down goes Monahan. Down goes Monahan.
Green is out. Andrew Joseph. Mackenzie Stevenson, the battle. Stevenson with the advantage. Down the back stretch. Vega trying to battle back. That's Andrew Joseph. Does he have enough? Into 3 and 4. Checkered flag. Stevenson smoking that rear tire across the stripe. Gil Bradstreet down low. Vice versa. Down into 1 and 2. Loose in 1 and 2. Weidinger slams the door. Off of 4. Checkered flag. France Weidinger going to move on.
Yeah.
Count your blessings. Green flag is down. Corey Perry with the advantage. Here comes Fielding, battling back. Here comes Perry up high. 3 and 4. Perry going to get a little bit loose. Fielding going to keep that advantage across the stripe. John Fielding.
He really had to push it and hold on that time.
Matt DeRoche's. Green flag is out. Matt DeRoche is going to jump to the advantage. Stevenson smokes the tire off too. Stevenson going to get loose in the grass. Matt DeRoche is moving on.
I see a whole bunch of GM products. One Subaru and one
Fielding, 1986 Chevy Camaro.
He's not good with cars, ladies and gentlemen. He reads off the card and says, oh, that's not a Monte Carlo.
No, indeed it is not. Green is out. Williams gets an advantage down into 1 and 2. Will Fielding battle back? He's right to the quarter on the high line there. Fielding with a run down the back stretch. Williams holding that nose advantage. Here comes Fielding to the lead in 3 and 4. Williams battles back. Checkered flag in the air. Oh! The Subaru at the line. Franz Weidinger, Smithfield, Rhode Island, Nathan Williams, Forestdale, Mass. That Subaru gets a good advantage out. Here comes Weidinger battling down low. The Subaru into 3 and 4. Nose advantage for Subaru. Nathan Williams. Here comes Weidinger trying to push him up the track. Not enough time. Nathan Williams chops Franz Weidinger there at the stripe. And a Chevy Camaro, 1984. Matt DeRoche's from Coventry. Green flag out. Round number 1. Nose to nose in 1 and 2. DeRoche's with a slight advantage. Here comes Williams battling back. DeRoche's opens it up in 3 and 4. Williams going to try battling back across the stripe.
DeRoche with round 1.
Oh my God.
Look at that. Wow. Green is out. Down into 1. DeRoche is battling. Looking for the lead. Williams up front battling. Here they come. DeRoche's with the advantage. Going down into 3 and 4. Matt DeRoche's. Looking off of 4. Checkered flag. Matt DeRoche's. Lead the road.
Juliana's got a little special pouch for him. And $100. See more and more of the imports. Hyundais, Toyotas, Lexuses, Mitsubishis, and Ford trucks.
Absolutely. Here we go. Down into 1 and 2. Trying to battle back. into 3 and 4. Carlito Mello, oh, Franz Whiting are going to spin it. He's going to get into the grass. That's going to let Carlito Mello slip by and move on.
Oh, and he had him too.
Yes, he did. Subaru WRX?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Gonna match up here with Jarrett Smith from Boontown, New Jersey in his 1990 Chevy Corvette. 1990, good year. They are off, down into 1. Give the advantage to the Subaru. Here comes Jarrett Smith battling back on the outside. Williams, nose to nose here in 3 and 4. Who's it gonna be at the stripe? Checkered flag waves. Oh, photo finish.
So that happens.
Well, that was too close to call.
Yes,
So
it
you know
was.
what that means?
We're gonna bring him back.
We're gonna bring him back.
Why not? For a rematch here, photo finish there. First time around.
Don't see too many of those.
No, we do not. Here we go, down into 1. Take 2. The advantage right now goes to Williams. Does Smith have anything for him? Ahead of steam into 3 and 4. Another one, close. Checkered flag is out. Corvette definitely by a nose. Wow. They are out there. They are set. Green flag. Down into 1. Liam Monahan looking to try to go back-to-back today. On 2. Down back stretch. Matt DeRoches, my correction, looking to go back-to-back. Here comes Monahan. Monahan's going to get a little loose in 4. Across the stripe, another one. Wow.
How the call was it?
Old Faithful out there. Green is out. Down into 1. Scott Crosley with the advantage over Jeff Daniels. Lanes. Not sure he'll have enough time in 3 and 4. Moving on, it's going to be Scott Crosley. Johnny Turbo. Green is out, down into 1. Nose to nose, battle of the Chevys. Give the advantage to Fitzgerald. Off 2, he checks out to the lead over Medeiros. Into 3 and 4, here comes Medeiros with a head of steam. Into 3. Does he have enough time? He's got to run on the high line. Off of 4, across the stripe. Give it to Medeiros. Wow! At the stripe, plotted, waited, and boom! Finish. This is Paul Ferreira from Somerset, matching up against Raymond Bradley from South Kingstown, Rhode Island, 1992 Chevy Corvette. Here they go. Ferreira with the lead. Off of 4 across the stripe. Here comes Bradley. Not enough time. Oh! The BMW. Paul Ferreira.
I am impressed.
Green is out. Down into 1. Give the advantage to Oliveira.
Look how much more aerodynamic it is.
Oliveira leading Oliveira. Michael leading Chad. Here they go. Off 4 across the stripe. Michael Oliveira over Chad Oliveira. In the 1949 Ford F2. Green flag out. Down into 1. Give the nose advantage to Perry, but here comes Chigris battling back up top. 3 and 4. Give the advantage to Chigris, and he's going to go spinning. Oh, he saves it. Off the stripe, Corey Perry taking home the checkered flag. Nathan Williams. 3 set to go. Green is out. Down into one. Give the advantage to Fitzgerald. Here they go. Down the back stretch. Into 3 and 4. Fitzgerald leads Bradley. Crossover move. Here comes, correction, it was Fitzgerald. Bradley was leading there. Fitzgerald does the crossover move in 4 and takes home the win. Smith from Boontown, New Jersey. Down into 1, Gerard has the advantage in that Audi. Smokes the tires in 1 and 2. Here Smith down the back stretch into 3 with the lead. Here comes Gerard on the low line, battling back. Off of 4 across the stripe. Jared Smith moving on.
Yeah, you saw what happened to the last Corvette. Got beat by Cressida. Didn't want that to happen to
against John Fielding. The Chevy Monte Carlo in 1986. Carlito Mello in the Eagle Talon. Down into 1 and 2. Mello gets the jump. Fielding battling back. Here they come. Door to door. Down the back stretch into turn number 3. Carlito Mello is going to avoid chaos, and Fielding goes around, does some landscaping. Carlito Mello, checkered flag.
That's the second time he's gotten that
Yes,
bonus today.
sometimes it's better to be lucky than good there, and
Where have I heard that before?
I don't know. That's the matchup. Down into 1, Jen Bucher gets a good jump in the Subi. Down the backstretch, into 3 and 4. Right to the back bumper is Oliveira, not enough time. Jen Bucher, moving on.
I should have really taken over that bottom lane. He was not giving him the inside. He was going to go by. He was going to have to do it the hard way.
Green is out. Oliveira gets a quick nose advantage, not so fast. Here comes Christine Purse into turn 1 and 2. Purse with the advantage as they come off 2, down into 3 and 4, not so much. Here we go. Oliveira battles back on the high line, gets a little loose, gets up high. Not enough time. Christine Purse, the Red Dragon, gonna move on. Green flag is out. Down into 1 and 2. Johnson with the advantage. Off of 2. Into 3 and 4. Johnson over Crosley. Checkered flag waves. Jonathan Johnson moving on. Against David Medeiros. Johnny Turbo with the Subaru down into 1 and 2, gets a good jump on Medeiros. Medeiros gets back to the middle lane. Into 3 and 4. Stevens blocks the advances of Medeiros. Medeiros goes spinning into the grass. Turbo moving on. Kevin, you were impressed with the BMW in round number 1. Paul Ferreira from Somerset gonna match up here against green flag in the air. Down into 1 and 2. The BMW battling door to door with the into 3 and 4. Contact! Oh! Kazuna's gonna bring it home. Ho, ho, ho!
Oh my God, Becky.
Will you look at that?
Wow.
I would think that got a little scratch on the
I think there is just a little bit of scratches on that right front fender. Still trying to figure out how to spell WRX. Here we go, they are off. Down into turn 1. Williams gets a good jump. Monahan battling back down the bottom here. Goes through the speedy drive. the advantage. Down into 3 and 4. Here comes Monahan battling back. Does he have enough time through the speedy dry again? Checkered flag? No, he does not. Nathan Williams going to move on.
Good run for Nate.
They are off. Green is in the air. Down into 1 and 2. Give the advantage to Perry. Down the backstretch. Give the advantage to Daniels now. In 3 and 4, he goes high. Off of 4, way up against the wall. He's got it. Just barely.
Nice run on the outside.
Yeah, Daniels there. Yeah. Wow. High and wide, and the 2024 champion and our last Spectator Drag winner, Matt DeRoche, is there out here to battle. Carlito Mello gets a good jump. DeRoche loose there too. Here we go, down into 3 and 4. Carlito Mello leads the way. Off of 4, checkered flag waves. Carlito Mello knocks off Matt DeRoche and moves on. Jen Bucher, hot flash the Subi from Lincoln, Vermont. And Luke Diaz here. That's the matchup. Green flag in the air. Here we go. Down into 1 and 2. Louis Diaz has the advantage. Down the back. Diaz sailing into 3 and 4. Here comes the Subi back on the high line. Does she have enough time? Not going to be enough time. Louis Diaz going to move on. Here comes the Red Dragon, Christine first, right? Johnson joins him right there. There we go, green flag in the air, down into 1 and 2. Kazunas holds on to it. That gives the advantage to Johnson in 3 and 4. Kazunas all sorts of loose again. Just wraps it up. Johnson moving on.
Great job keeping it underneath them though.
Absolutely was. And we continue to whittle our way down. Still Bradstreet. 1989. Billy Camaro going to match up with Nathan Williams here. Green is out. Williams gets a good jump. Down into 1, but here comes Bradstreet battling back down the line. Nose to nose, door to door, down the back stretch into 3 and 4. Williams with a nose advantage. Bradstreet going to spin, and that is going to open the door. Gonna move on.
Well, you know there was no backing off there by either driver because they were driving it hard and deep.
Yes, they were. That was a battle all the way up to turn number 4. Alternative. Down the back stretch. Here we go, down into 1 and 2. Daniels on the low line here. Curtis on the high line. Curtis has the nose advantage and takes him on 2 down the back stretch into 3 and 4. Paul Curtis leading Jeff Daniels. Here they come off 4 to the stripe. Paul Curtis in the 64 Chevelle takes down Jeff Daniels. Looking to get back into victory lane here today after the last 2 got knocked off in the early rounds. Here we go. Carlito at the jump. Johnny Turbo in the Subaru.
Yeah, Johnny got a good jump on that start.
Here comes Carlito battling back down into 3. Carlito with the advantage. Johnny Turbo right there. Going to try to move up the line. Nope. Carlito Mello slams the door. Carlito Mello takes down Johnny Turbo and moves on.
Sounds like a cartoon character.
So, John Johnson, they're at the stripe. They're set to go. Green is out. Williams gets a good jump in the Subaru. Here comes Johnson battling back down into 1 and 2. Here they go into 3 and 4. Johnson gets the nose advantage. The Subaru going to try the crossover move. Coming back. Here we go at the stripe. Nathan Williams gets it with the crossover. What a round of applause. What a move there. Paul Curtis, Jared Smith, the next matchup. At the stripe. Looks like Louis Diaz's day is complete. Not sure if he had it. Down into 1 and 2. Paul Curtis. Just a little bit, takes the advantage. Smith's going to battle back on the high line here. Coming across the stripe. Smith gets it. Wow. At the stripe, Jared Smith over Paul Curtis. And they are going to call here as he's going to match up with Nathan Williams. Williams has been strong all day in that Subaru. He gets a good jump. They both get a good jump. Carlito Mello jumps out to the advantage. A lot of jumping and 1 and 2 down the backstretch. Carlito Mello. Can he hold off Williams? Off of 4, checkered flag waves. Carlito Mello moving on.
So Mello is going to be in the finals against the Corvette. Is there an issue?
Well, we shall see.
Old school, push start it. Pop the clutch. No.
Needless to say, it'll be a different winner again here in the Spectator Drags to kick off 2025, which saw Liam Monahan and Matt DeRoches take victories earlier this season.
So best 2 out of 3, ladies and gentlemen, and we're underway.
Down into 1 and 2. Williams with the advantage. With the nose advantage, dive bombs into turn 3. Here comes Smith. Smith gets loose. That's going to give the checkered flag to Williams.
You know, if I remember correctly, these are the 2 that tied in that first round, remember?
I believe you are indeed correct.
Of course, call my wife, let her know I was right for once.
Kevin's always right up here in the booth.
I'm always right with her, she just never believes it. I told her when she married Mr. Right, she didn't know my first name was always.
Happy Father's Day. The dad jokes continue from Kevin Boucher. All right, so they switch lanes. Smith down the low line, and Williams on the high line here. Here we go. They are set. Green is in the air. Williams gets the jump. Smith gonna jump back to it. Nose to nose. Door to door. It's anybody's ball game. Smith with the advantage, and he's gonna get loose and spin it.
No, he's not. He saves it.
Saves it.
And off the board.
Oh!
Gonna be close enough.
Williams over Smith.
Save 2. What a save. Gotta love. How about a round of applause for all of our East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drag drivers throwing it out there. 100%.
At the stripe, set to go. Green flag down in in the air, Ron Weidinger jumps out to the advantage. Here comes back on the other team. Here he goes. Does he have enough? Weidinger off 4 across the stripe. Weidinger moving on. Green flag in the air, down into 1 and 2. Barrows with the advantage. Here comes Purse, battling back, head of steam, on 2, down the backstretch. Christine Purse going for the lead. Into 3 and 4, got the nose advantage. Does Barrows have enough to hold on? No, he does not. Christine Purse gonna move on. Vega. Gil Bradstreet from Seekonk in the 1989 Chevy Camaro. At the stripe, set to go. Into 1 and 2. Give the advantage to Joseph in the move, battling back. Into turn 3. Bradstreet with the advantage on the low line. Slams the door shut, gets loose. Loops the part off that thing too, and holds on for the win. Wow. Green flag in the air. Here they go. Down into 1. Winicki on the high line, but here comes Garaga. Ansel Garaga. Into 3 and 4. Off of 4. Checkered flag waves. Garaga gonna move on. Flag in the air. Here they go. Gerard with a great jump down into 3 and 4. Or down into 1 and 2. Podium last week. Here he comes with a head of steam. Into 3 and 4. Coming. Here we go across the stripe. Smith gets it. What a battle right until the end. Smith's gonna move on. That brings up down into 1. Williams gets the advantage. Hurst gonna try to mount the comeback down the stretch. Williams smooth sailing in that Subaru WRX into 3 and 4. Williams gonna come to the checkered flag and hold on, moving on. Michael Oliveira. Green flag in the air. Paul Curtis with the nose advantage over Oliveira. They battle door to door in turn number 2. Into 3 and 4. Curtis with the advantage. Here they come. Off of 4. Checkered flag. Paul Curtis gonna move on. Recovery Spectator Drags. One of them going to be moving on. One of them going pit side. Jared Smith, Nate Williams. Here they go. Down into turn 1. Door to door. Williams with the advantage. Down into 3 and 4. Smith with the nose advantage. Williams battling back. Here they go. Across the stripe. Smith going to move on. Nate Williams, last week's winner, gonna head pit side. Paul Curtis. Paul Curtis has looked strong. Does he have anything for Carlito Mello? Green flag in the air. Here they go, down into 1 and 2. Carlito Mello pushes Curtis up the battle back, down into 3 and 4. Carlito Mello slamming the door shut, moving on. At the stripe, green is out. Weidinger
off the top.
Here they are, at the stripe, set to go. Green flag, Carlito Mello, another great jump. Down into 1 and 2. To take home the East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drags. Checkered flag wins. Bradstreet goes around in 3 and 4. Carlito Mello, your East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drag winner.
So Carlito back on the winner's side. A great run for him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, these are the East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drags, about to have at it. A great field of cars and drivers ready to have at it.
Here we go, Spectator Drags on the track. As out there to match up, it's the Audi S4. Brandon Gerard against Rob Hendrick here. Down into turn number 1. Way too close to call. A battle of the 89s here. Bradstreet on the high line, Monahan down low. Here we go. Green flag is out, down into turn number 1. Monahan battling back, down into turn number 3. Advantage to Bradstreet. Here we come. Right, still Bradstreet gonna move on. William Monahan is East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drags. Gonna have to take it pit side. Wow, Jared Smith all the way from Boomtown, New Jersey. Green flag in the air. Carlito Mello gets squeezed on the inside. Carlito Mello goes down here. Jared Smith slammed the door in 1 and 2. Checkered flag in the air. Jared Smith's gonna knock off Carlito Mello.
Boomtown.
Couple of heavy hitters going down here in the first round.
And I think
Daniels up top, Bradley down the bottom here. Green flag in the air. Nose to nose, wheel to wheel. He's a push over 3. How about that one? Green flag in the air. Down into turn 1 and 2. Give the advantage to the Thunderbird. Fazio, smooth sailing, moving on.
You know, I've seen that move before. Usually there's a crowd around it, though, when I see the videos.
Jay Silva. Green flag in the air.
All that work, and he gets smoked off the line by a Subaru.
Subaru WRX. Down the backstretch. Mustang, and a look to battle back. Right to the back bumper. Lucas Simonian. Coming across the stripe, moving on.
That was all Steven's fault. He threw him way off his you know, when
1986 Chevy Monte Carlo. Owen Borges. Gonna match up. Mazda. Right? Green flag in the air, down into turn number 1. Borges with the advantage in the 86 Monte Carlo. Here comes the Mazda, battling back on the high line, down into turn number 3.
You got the Ford? You got the Corvette?
Green flag down into one. Corvette gets the nose advantage. Here comes Rednecks. Into turn three. Oh, what four? Checkers, flag, Rednecks, and move on. Gilbrad Street, Nathan Williams, the next matchup here. Nathan Williams taking home an East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drag win just a couple of weeks ago. Green flag in the air, down into turn number one. Brad Street, up top, down into turn number three. Brad Street down low with the advantage, gets a little loose. Williams gonna have to battle it. Right got it up time. Gilbrad Street moving on. Bronze Weidinger. Green flag in the air, down into turn number one. Silva with the advantage on the high line. Fazio goes for a little drive in the grass in 1 and 2. Down into turn 3 and 4. Checkered flag, this one's going to be a shootout. Give it to Fazio. Down the bottom line there, he gets around in quicker time. Moving. Josh Jutras, 1992 Chevy Camaro. Lucas Ammonian, down into one. Subaru WRX with the advantage. Here comes Jutras battling back up top. Into 3 and 4. Jutras comes to the lead. Smoking into 3 and 4. Here comes the Subaru battling back at the stride. Oh, give it to Jutras by a hair.
Of his chinny chin chin.
Green flag down into turn one. Perry has the advantage off of two. Into 3 and 4. Gonna get a little loose. Gonna go, saves it. Perry gonna move on. Jared Smith having a stellar day so far. East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drag win. He's been on the podium a handful of times. Set to go. Green flag in the air, down into turn one. Jutras with the advantage, trying to put it up. Back. In 4, John Fielding to the lead, off 4. Checkered flag wins. John Fielding gonna move on.
And then there were 6.
Here we go, down into turn number 1. Johnson on the high line. Turn number 3, Johnson gonna have the advantage here. Off of 4, checkered flag, Jonathan Johnson gonna move on. Corey Perry. Green flag in the air, Diaz gets a good jump. Off the stripe, down into 1. Here comes Fielding, back. Keeps it off the wall, over off of 2. Fielding, checkered flag, waves. He'll move on. That's the battle here. Green flag is out, down into turn number 1. Jared Smith up top. Johnson down low. Oh! He's going to have to battle back. Does he have enough time? He does not. Jonathan Johnson.
Not today, you don't, he said.
Green flag flag in the air, down into turn number 1. Johnson with the advantage this time on the low line. Here comes Fielding, battling back up top. Fielding by the nose, down into turn 3. Here comes Johnson, he's going to get loose again. He's going to hang on to it. Wow! John Fielding goes 2 for 2 in the finale, and he is going to take down the East Coast Towing and Recovery Section. Fielding up top, Williams down low. At the stripe. Green is out, Williams gets a jump. Here comes Fielding on the high line. Down into turn 1. Fielding with the advantage. Williams has to go back, down the back stretch into turn 3. John Fielding comes off 4. Here comes Williams with a nose to him. Fielding going to collect the checkered flag.
Williams had a great hole shot on that, too.
He did. And not enough time there coming off 4. Fielding holds on, looking to continue that here today. Green is out. Smith up top. Works down low into turn number 1. Smith cruising. Danielle Henshaw loses it on the back stretch. Touches the outside wall. Jared Smith going to move on. Our safety team going to go out there.
I don't think it's supposed to do that.
2008 Chevy Cobalt. Matching up against Craig Winicki from Wareham, Mass. in his Nissan 1988. Winicki has the advantage working off turn number 2 down the back stretch. Looking to move on here into 3 and 4. Checkered flag. Winicki's going to move on.
Isn't a cobalt a stone?
I think it might be.
Fitting.
Yeah. Haven't seen Jackson Decker here in a few Spectator Drags. Welcome back to him. Green flag out. Decker working the low line here. The Toyota on the top. Neck and neck into 3 and 4. Decker going to have to pick up a little bit of steam here. Works the Toyota up the track. Down to the start finish line. Rosmano's going to grab that one. I believe that may be the first time he's moving on to the second round. In the Walter Wickenbach from Warren, Rhode Island, 1984 Chevy Camaro. And Derek Chiramito from Bristol, Rhode Island. Down the back. Patrick Warren, Honda Civic, hatchback there. 1992 Chevy Camaro, into 3 and 4. Checkered flag gonna wave. Hamster's gonna move on.
Well, the V doesn't stand for victory now, does it?
I do not think it does. Green flag, down to 1. On the high line, the advantage to Daniels. There goes the go. Up just a bit, works down into turn 3. Not going to be enough time. Daniels, here comes Kazunas for the last minute charge, but Daniels going to get it and move on. And Chris Gomes, Bradley, in the 92 Chevy Corvette red up top. Gomes down low in the 78 Chevy Camaro. That's the matchup here. Green flag in the air. They work down into 1. Bradley with the advantage. Keeps the lead. Wow. Comes Gomes back. Oh, not the cone. Gomes gonna move on. Wow.
You got peanut butter in my chocolate.
Some things don't change.
Oh my God, Becky.
Matching up against Paul Curtis, 1964 Chevy Chevelle, green flag in the air. Perry jumps to the advantage by a nose. Here comes Curtis, back to back. Into 3 and 4, Curtis, nobody gonna give it in. Perry, off 4, checkered flag. Corey Perry gonna move on. A battle of the heavy hitters there. Seems to have that car back in tow. Jared Smith continuing to get stronger here throughout the season. Green flag in the air. They work down into 1. Carlito Mello gets the early advantage. Still right there. Try to battle back. Chooses a higher lane. Into 3 and 4. Mello holding on. Carlito Mello gonna move on. Knocking off Jared Smith there. Bradstreet in the 89 Chevy Camaro white up top. Monahan in the red one. Here they go, down into 1. Liam Monahan jumps out to the advantage. Into 3 and 4. Bradstreet all sorts of loose. Monahan gets loose as well. He holds on, but here comes Bradstreet to the front. Here we go for the rematch. Green flag in the air, down into 1 and 2. Bradstreet and Monahan match up again. Into 3 and 4. Monahan with a head of steam. Not going to be enough time. He's going to get loose over in 3. Still Bradstreet going to move on. That's going to bring up Brendan Phone from Adams, New York in his green 2023 Dodge Charger, and Walter Wickenbach, 1984 Chevy Camaro. Green flag in the air. Wickenbach jumps out to the advantage. Down into 1 and 2. Down the back stretch. Wickenbach holding off Brendan Phone. Off turn 4, checkered flag waves. Wickenbach gonna move on. Whittling this field down. Continue for the newlyweds. newlyweds. Rat Robs has already moved on. Christine Purse looking to punch her ticket to paradise. Green flag down into one. The Red Dragon jumps out to the advantage. Off turn two. Christine Purse smooth sailing down the backstretch. Into 3 and 4. Checkered flag waves. Christine Purse continuing on. Real question, Kevin. Do we
The
see...
Subaru's going to win.
Do we see the newlyweds match up here at some point? Well, that would be storybook here today.
It's possible.
Johnny Turbo out there against Jeff Daniels, the matchup of the Subarus. Jeff Daniels with the advantage up top, into 3 and 4. Jeff Daniels comes off turn number 4, checkered flag waves. Jeff Daniels going to move on over Johnny Turbo. Mello, Perry. At the stripe. Green flag in the air. Carlito Mello. Jumping out to the lead over Perry. Down into 1 and 2. Slam the door shut in 3 and 4. Leaves it open for Perry. Perry right to the nose. Not enough time. Carlito Mello. Advances on. At the stripe. Rat Rob. Down into turn 1. Just the advantage on the high line. Down into 3 and 4. Rat Rob comes off 4. High line in tow. Checkered flag. Jeff Daniels out there now. Matching up against Chris Gomes. Gomes. Daniels with the advantage. Here comes Gomes. Daniels with a head of steam into 3 and 4. Off turn 4. Jeff Daniels gonna move on. Let's give it up. Will the groom move on? Will Carlito Mello dash his coach? Green flag into 1. Brad Ross with the advantage. Down into 3 and 4. Carlito Mello tips his cap. Brad Ross moves on.
Boy, he's running. This is the final 4. The winner of this one goes into the finale.
Correct. Here we go. Green flag. Down into 1. Bradstreet gets a great jump. Battle back. Down the backstretch. Bradstreet into 3 and 4. Off of 4. Checkered flag. Bradstreet moving on.
So Bill will be in the finale. Who's going to be whip up?
Quite possible. We have a race between the newlyweds for 3rd place. Green flag in the air. Daniels gets the jump. Down into 1 and 2. Rat Rock. Wait, Rat Rock to the head of steam into 3 and 4. Checks up. Daniels comes out 4. Checkered flag. Daniels gonna move on to the finale.
But you know what that means?
We get to see the newlyweds
Go at it.
go. The first of many battles in their marriage.
Yeah, not all of them are going to be as fun as this one.
We shall see. What a storybook here in our East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drags. Husband versus wife. And of course, she gets to choose. She'll choose the low line. Her husband gonna take the high line here.
He'll be doing that a lot.
Green flag in the air. Here we go. Camaro. At the stripe. DeRoziers up top, Grassroots down low. DeRoziers gets a little loose there. He's going to have to down backstretch into 3 and 4. Bradstreet with the advantage. DeRoziers tries a crossover move, not enough time. Bradstreet going to move on. Here comes Nate Williams. WRX and your 2024 Uxbridge, Mass. It's Carlito Mello. Mello on the low line, Williams up high. Green flag in the air, down into 1 and 2. Mello jumps out to the advantage. Williams going to have to back up and ahead of Steve in 2. Not sure it's going to be enough time. He'll try a crossover move. Mello gets a little loose. Opens the door for Williams, but Mello holds on and moves on. Kazunas takes the low line. Smith up top. Green is out, down into 1 and 2. Smith down the back stretch, into 3 and 4. Jared Smith looking to move on. Off turn 4, checkered flag waves. Jared Smith gonna move on. Gonna bring up Andrew Joseph. Chevy Camaro. At the stripe. Green flag in the air. Monahan down low. Johnny Turbo up top. Into 1 and 2. The advantage for Monahan right now. Off turn 4. Monahan with the advantage. And he's going to move on. Gerald with the high line, Jutras with the low line. At the stripe, green flag in the air. Fitzgerald gets an early jump, but here comes Jutras battling back on the low line. Off to 3 and 4. Jutras holding on. Fitzgerald up top. They come off 4. Across the stripe, Jutras holds on to it, gets a little loose off 4. Jutras going to move on. Oliveira with the high line. Garaga down low. Green flag in the air. Oliveira up top. Comes off turn. Got his hands full all over it. Dive bombs him into 3 and 4. Works up the track. Oh, he can't hold on. A valiant effort, but Michael Oliveira gonna move on after a failed attempt at the slide shot. Louis Diaz at the stripe. Johnson down low, Stevenson up top. Down into turn number 1, Johnson with the advantage. Off turn 2, down they come. Johnson leading Stevenson. Johnson's going to get a little bit loose. Holds on to it, checkered flag waves. Jonathan Johnson going to move on. At the stripe and set to go. Perry fielding. Green flag in the air. Down into turn 1. Perry with the advantage. Looking to 3 and 4. Brings up Gilbrad Street and Carlito Mello. Mello, multiple wins. At the stripe, set to go. Green flag in the air. Grassroots gets the early jump. Carlito Mello gonna work his way back. Down the back stretch. Grassroots leading. Mello dive bombs turn number 3. Does he have enough? Oh, he's gonna get loose. Grassroots gonna knock off the 2024 East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drag Champion. Looks like Carlito Mello at the stripe. Green flag in the air. Down into 1 and 2. Silva with the advantage over Monahan. Silva looking to knock Monahan off here. What would be a surprise? Silva works up the track. Monahan opens the door. Monahan at the stripe, gonna get him. Liam Monahan waited until the final moments, crossing the stripe. Knocked. Paul Curtis. Josh Jutras. Curtis in the 64 Chevelle, Jutras in the 92 Camaro. Green is out. They work down into 1 and 2. Door to door. On turn 2. Down the back. Curtis opens up the nose advantage. Into 3 and 4. Jutras smoking the rear tires. Off 4. Loses it, gets loose. Paul Curtis gonna move on.
That's not the tire.
And our next matchup, David Medeiros from Berkeley, Michael Oliveira, 1988 Camaro, down into 1 and 2. Battle back, Oliveira on the low line, Oliveira with the advantage. Into 3 and 4. Off turn 4, checkered flag. Oliveira knocks off Medeiros. Louis Diaz, Jonathan Johnson, Diaz, had a strong car here in the Spectator Drags all 2025, getting ever so close to that win. Brad Street with the advantage, down into 1 and 2. Back, down the back stretch, into 3 and 4 with a head of steam. Smith right there. Off turn 4, here they come, anybody's game, who's it gonna be? Smith's gonna get it at the stripe. Jared Smith waited and got it. Here comes the matchup of the heavy hitters. Liam Monahan, Paul Curtis. Curtis, the 64 Chevelle, green flag in the air. Here they go, down into turn number 1. Nose to nose, door to door. Off 2, down into 3 and 4. Monahan with the advantage, gonna try to slam the door on Curtis. Off 4, across the stripe, Liam Monahan gonna move on. Michael Oliveira, matching up here with Jared Smith. Green flag in the air. Smith gets the early jump into 1 and 2 with the advantage. On the high line, Jared Smith gets the Jared Smith off turn 4. Checkered flag wave. Jared Smith gonna move on. So, Corey Perry will battle whoever comes up short here. Liam Monahan out there, matching up against Jonathan Johnson. We know Jared Smith is going to the finale. Green flag is out. Johnson up top, Monahan down low. Into 1 and 2. Down the back, door to door, nose to nose. Into 3 jumps out to the advantage. Does Monahan have anything off turn 4 across the stripe? No, not quite. Jonathan Johnson, 1985 Chevy Camaro. At the stripe. Green flag in the air. Down into 1 and 2. Johnson with the early advantage. Smith with ahead of steam on the move down the backstretch. Into 3 and 4. Johnson holding his own. Slams the door shut on Smith in round 1. Jonathan Johnson up 1-0. If Smith wins this one, we go to a rubber match. Johnson wins, it's over. Green flag is out. Down into 1 and 2. Smith with the advantage here. Johnson on the high line. Getting up the back. Smith down into 3 and 4. Gets a little loose. Gonna hold on to it though. Johnson doesn't have enough. We go to a rubber match. Jonathan Johnson. 1. The rubber match. For all the marbles, Jonathan Johnson. Jared Smith, green flag in the air, down into 1 and 2. It's a drag race. Advantage to Johnson. Smith gets ahead of steam, heading into 3. Johnson gets loose, he's going to spin it. Does Smith have enough? At the stripe. Jared Smith going to get it. The officials say it was Smith at the stripe. Wow.
More rewards today. Looking for family fun? Race over to Seekonk Grand Prix. Go Cubs. Don't miss out. Trenner's hospitals are changing.
We are set for our East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drags. A full, healthy field of cars on the inside. Here we go. First matchup. Liam Monahan on the outside and John Fielding down on the inside. They work down the backstretch into turn 3 and 4. Coming off turn 4, give the advantage to Fielding across the stripe. John Fielding gonna knock off Liam Monahan and move on. Here. Green is out, down into turn number 1. DeRoche's on the low line, has the advantage. Into 3 and 4. Matt DeRoche's looking for the checkered flag, coming across the stripe. Matt DeRoche's going to move on. Matchup against Nathan Williams from Forestdale, Subaru WRX 2017. Mello taking the low line. Williams up top, green flag, down into turn 1. Carlito Mello with the advantage, down the backstretch. Here comes Williams with the crossover, looking on the low line. Off turn 4, Carlito Mello gonna hold the advantage and move on. Just a few weeks ago, this gentleman. Green flag is out. Motoring down into turn number 1. Garaga. Crossover move. Here comes the Volkswagen. On the low line into 3 and 4. Checkered flag waves. The crossover gonna work there. Nieva gonna move on. Matching up with Anthony Cullihan. Down into one. Here comes the Fiero on the high line. Oh! Holding on. Louis Diaz going to move on. Quinbag, Connecticut. Matching up against Green is out, down into 3 and 4. The Stinger leading the way. Checkered flag waving. And David Hall going to move on. Rob Gingras from Fairhaven. Matching up against Camaro. Believe that might be it. 3 and 4. Off turn 4, checkered flag wave. Rat Ross taking it home. VWGT 2016, green flag in the air. Buchanan on the low line here. The Malibu up top. Down the backstretch, Buchanan with the advantage. Into 3 and 4. Off 4, checkered flag waves. Kyle Buchanan moving on.
That's a pretty car. He didn't want to scratch the new paint. Mike Wazowski.
Green flag.
Dude, really? By a Miata?
Into 1. The Miata with the advantage. Little landscaping there by the Camaro. John Gallant into 3 and 4. Gallant off 4. Checkered flag waves. The Miata, all sorts of loose going into 1. He takes the checkered flag.
You know, you people got louder as he got closer to the wall. What the heck?
Another.
Yeah, Buicks were no slouch back then.
Not one bit. Buick on the low line. Volkswagen up top here. Into 1 and 2.
Except on the start.
Into 3 and 4. Brendan Duffy from Providence going to come home and move on. McNamara putting on a show off turn 4.
He may have lost, but he just stole the show with the air horn.
We move along to round number 2. At the stripe, Green is out. Into turn 1, DeRoches has the low line here. Into 3 and 4, DeRoches leading the way. Off 4, checkered flag waves. Matt DeRoches going to move on. Carlito Mello. 3 lane here in our East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drags. He's been battling gremlins here the last couple of events. Down into 1. Brad Street up top. Down the backstretch. Carlito Mello opens up that advantage. Slams the door. He's going to get a little loose. Can he hold on? Here comes Brad Street. Not enough time. Carlito Mello moving on. Slip sliding in turn 3 and 4. Any hole being donated back to local charities. You'll get a Tootsie Roll. Make sure you donate as they work through the crowd here. They're in the yellow vests. Welcome back to the Knights of Columbus. Great to have you here again. The Red Dragon, Christine Gingras out there, matching up against Corbin Merkett. They work down into turn 1. The Red Dragon, working down the backstretch into turn 3. Christine Gingras. Off turn 4, checkered flag waves. The Red Dragon moving on. Don Fascio in the 1985 Ford Thunderbird. Green is out, down into 1. Oliveira with the advantage on the low line. Here comes Fascio looking for a crossover off turn 2. Down the bottom line here, into 3 and 4. Oliveira working. They battle nose to nose off turn 4. Who's it going to be? Give it to Fascio across the stripe. Down into turn 1. Diaz, Gerard. Nose to nose in 1 and 2. Gets the advantage. Into 3 and 4. Off turn 4. Nose to nose. Give the advantage to Gerard. Gerard gonna move on. E75 Chevy Vega. Michael Oliveira. Chevy Camaro, 1988, into 1 and 2. Down the backstretch. Into 3 and 4. Checkered flag waving at the stripe. It's going to be Oliveira by a nose.
Yeah, those two vehicles weigh a ton each.
Absolutely. Green is out. Curtis on the high line. Kazuna's going to get his hands full there in 1. Going to have to battle back. Curtis with the advantage into 3 and 4. Can he hold on? Off turn 4. Paul Curtis moving on. Line here. Matching up against Jared Smith. Took home his first win in the East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drags here just a few weeks ago. Green is out, down into 1. Mello with the advantage. Smith's going to have to battle back. Smith brings the back bumper. Mello into the door. Into 3 and 4. Smith. No door open. Now the door opens. Not enough time. Carlito Mello moving on. Carlito Mello has been battling gremlins. Looks like that car is tuned up. At the stripe.
Okay, cross it down there.
Green flag in the air. Johnny Turbo jumps out to the advantage there. Into 1 and 2. Off turn 2. Johnny Turbo leading away. Into 3 and 4. Checkered flag wave. Slams the door shut. Johnny Turbo. Taking the top line. Gingras, the low line. Green is out. Down into 1. Gerard up top. Sailing into 3 and 4. On the high line, up top. Gerard smokes the tires. Gingras working him up the track. Can't get it. Gerard moving on. A close battle there. We will have to wait for another spectator drag to possibly see a late. Speaking of Rat Robs, here he is back out there, matching up against Jeff Daniels. Green is out. Rat Robs gets the advantage. Here comes Daniels. south. Carlito Mello down into one with the advantage. Off turn two, Carlito Mello opening up that advantage over Johnny Turbo. Turbo trying to work back to the rear bumper. Not going to be enough time. Off turn four, Carlito Mello going to move on. Jeff Daniels, Brandon Gerard, into one and two. Gerard with the advantage. Here comes Daniels trying a crossover move. Gerard works up the track, opens the door for Daniels. Not going to be enough time. Brandon Gerard moving on. So, the battle for third place now will be between Johnny Turbo and Jeff Daniels. Green is out, down into one. Daniels gets the early advantage up top there. Into one and two. Off two, down back. Johnny Turbo gonna have to battle back. Jeff Daniels into three and four. Jeff Daniels takes home third place over Johnny Turbo. And that sets us up. The Serpentine Belt, a couple of races ago, a reservoir fluid issue just last week. Into one and two. Advantage down the back stretch. Into three and four, Gerard keeps the nose advantage. Across the stride. I don't know. Gerard and that Audi have been on fire today. Green is out. Down into one. Carlito Mello solves it.
He didn't stall it, he broke it.
Brandon Gerard collects the win. Carlito Mello takes home second place.
That you would like to donate to the to God's special children.
Yeah, baby!
Donate
Let's go!
good causes here tonight. Between the Amiga Disposal and their bike giveaway at Christmas time for some underprivileged children, to the Seekonk Knights of Columbus.
From Smithfield, Rhode Island, 1994 Pontiac Trans Am, matching up against Corey Perry from Riverside, Rhode Island, and his Pontiac Firebird in 1997. They're at the stripe, they're set. Down into turn one, Perry up top. Weidinger on the bottom lane here. They work on 3 and 4, slamming the door shut on Perry. Off turn 4, Franz Weidinger gonna move on. Took home a trophy just a few weeks ago here at our Labor Day Thrill Show. Bradstreet up top, DeRozia's down the low line here. Into turn 1 and 2. Bradstreet gets the early jump. Low line here, down the back stretch, Bradstreet. Holding his own, off turn 4, Gil Bradstreet to move on. Your 2024 East Coast Towing and Recovery. Knocked off just a few weeks ago by the gentleman he will match up against here now. Jared Smith from Boontown, New Jersey. 1990 Chevy Corvette. at the stripe. Into 1 and 2. Mello with the advantage on the high line. Into 3 and 4. Smith's going to get a little loose. Mello going to hold on. Mello going to move on. David Hall.
Yeah, I'm trying to... Well, that was easy to read. It's the Quinnebog connection?
Yeah, we probably messed that one up. Down into turn 1.
Down to the corner they go, and it is Oliveira by a half a car. Up on the outside, evens up in the middle of 3 and 4. Off the corner they come, down to the stripe, and it will be the Camaro of Oliveira just holding off the Kia.
Valiant effort there by that Kia Stinger. Warren, Silva gets the advantage in that Camaro. Down into 1 and 2. Here's Silva. Warren down the back stretch. Warren hanging tight. Still right there off turn 4.
Yeah, but it's going to be the Camaro taking down the win in this one. Got off to a bad start, just couldn't keep up coming down the back stretch. I don't know.
I'm going to venture a guess. It might be York, PA.
Oh.
And he stumbled.
It's going to be a long ride back to York, or is it? Look at the catch-up he does on the outside. Trying to close in that gap and gets the lead momentarily.
Here comes Fitzgerald battling back in 3 and 4 on the low line. Checkered flag, but it's going to be the Audi. How about that? Ivan Adamiak going to move on.
Oh, we could call him Ivan.
Green is out. Here they go. Down into 1. Mello gets a good jump. Johnson battling back on the inside. Mello. Johnson. What are you doing? Oh, he works Mello up the track.
He got a little loose, and Mello said, no, I'm not getting into that, but look at him come back. No, can't get it. And it looks like the gremlins continue for Carlito Mello.
Yeah, he stumbled it there. Johnson going to move on. Up top here. Medeiros on the low line. Green is out. Down into 1 and 2. The advantage right now to Medeiros on the low line. Here comes Wickenback. Battling back up top. Into 3 and 4. Wickenback. Not sure he's going to have enough time.
We got some smoking coming from the inside, but that was tire smoke. Nothing serious there.
Medeiros moving on. Michael Oliveira at the stripe. Green is out. Down into 1 and 2. Kazunas gets the early advantage. Tries to squeeze. Kazunas off of 4 across the stripe. Tom Kazunas from Wakefield, Rhode Island. Moving on.
So that pickup truck continues to haul. Yeah, bright yellow and red and white Pontiac Fiero.
I think that's what we call a tri-stage. Here we go. Into 1 and 2. Monahan gets the advantage on the high line. Works down the back. Monahan. Not going to be enough time. Monahan continues up top. Diaz get loose.
He got up on the berm just a little bit. That was enough to go, what the heck is going on with this Fiero?
Monahan. Nice gray base there. Green is out, down into 1. The Audi gets a great jump. That Audi surprising here tonight.
Yes. And he's rolling down into turn number 3 with a 4-car length advantage. And he will hold on and take down the win.
Ivan Adamiak moving on and surprising. It'll be interesting to see if he's joined us here before. Green is out, down into 1. Nose to nose.
Nice even start. Gale trying to get a good look. Down into turn number 3. A pair of Camaros racing side by side. Gotham Off the corner they come. There's a checkered flag. And Grassroots will hold on for the win.
So, Bradstreet looking Liam Monahan. A regular competitor here in our East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drags. The Audi gets a good jump.
Is a surprise.
Into 3 and 4.
Monahan gets a good run through the corner, evens up. Off of 4, down the stripe. Monahan knocks him off.
Monahan does knock him off there, right by his chinny chin. And that Cinderella run that Audi was having is now over.
Is green, nice even start, but it is the Audi that gets the jump into turn number 1.
Down the back stretch, into 3 and 4. Audi, moving on.
So we're down to our final 4. The winner of this one is going to... It looks like Gil's got the inside lane.
Down into 1.
Wow. Not much there.
Down into 3 and 4. Brandon Gerard, checkered flag waves. Gerard going to another finale. Monahan and Kazunas going to battle for 3rd. Wow.
We'll settle this one. Into turn 1, they go with the green, and Gerard jumps out.
Jumps out and checks out. That brings Bradstreet right back into the fold. Here comes Bradstreet with a head of steam.
Down on the inside they go. Gerard slides up. Bradstreet takes the win.
Wow, what a thriller.
Spectator Drags. Brennan Gerard in for 2nd, and Liam Monahan rounding out the top 3. The ultimate taste of summer is here at Seekonk Speedway.
The gutless cutlass, that's got a ring to it here. Let's see what Rat Robs has today. Not in his normal 1949 Ford F2. Green is out. They head down into 1. Corey Perry going to get the jump on the inside line here. Jumps out to the lead. Rat Robs down the back stretch. Into 3 and 4. Off turn 4, Corey Perry. Going to take down Rat Robs and move on. 2017 Subaru WRX. Green is out. Down into 1. Gerard on the low line has the advantage. Williams looking to knock off Gerard early in this one. Here we go, off 4. Williams gets high. Checkered flag out. Williams going to move on over Gerard. Battling gremlins in that Eagle Talon all year long. Matching up against Boomtown, New Jersey's Jared Smith.
And Jared's coming off his first win ever last time.
A couple weeks back, yes. Looking for another one. Green is out, down into 1. Mello. Smith, nose to nose. Down the back stretch. Mello with a nose advantage. Johnson, excuse me, Smith, checkered flag. Jared Smith has knocked off the 2024 East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drag champion. And looking at it, the top 3 in points here today, Jared Smith, Carlito Mello, Gil Bradstreet. 2 of the 3 are moving on. As I get the number, that looks like it could be a Toyota.
Looks like a Kia.
So a little out of order here. 26, that would be Adam Fournier. That is a 2023 Toyota RAV4.
Really?
Looks like a electric Ford Mustang SUV to me.
Really?
Green is out.
Oh, look at that sucker going on the outside.
That actually is one of those Fords. By the number that we have from Woonsocket, matching up against Scott Stevens. Oh! I think the Ford got it there. That was
I
Fournier.
agree. I gotta wonder if that's one of those electric ones, and you say it might be one of the electric ones. They got a lot of torque.
Yes, they do.
But, it does. It's like they made it all the way around.
I am shocked. No pun intended. Absolutely, it's been an incredible season. Tip of the cap to Toyota. Green is down. Louis Diaz on the inside lane, battling Crosley. Crossing in. Diaz slams the door shut.
Then opens it back up.
Not enough time. Diaz gonna move on. Rob Taccio, Nissan 350Z. At the stripe, green is out. Henshaw gets the early jump. Smoking the tires in that Silverado is Gonzalez. Down the back stretch, smooth sailing for Henshaw into 3 and 4. Checkered flag waving. Henshaw gonna move on. Green is out. Down into 1. Cashman gets the early jump. Here comes the back, down the back. Farrier. Oh, gonna get loose. Holds onto it. But Cashman gonna pick up the win there and move on.
Cashman outside, how about that?
Kyle Buchanan, hometown boy, right here in Seekonk, VW GTI 2016. At the stripe, set to go. Green is out. Joseph gets the jump into 1 and 2. Down the back stretch into 3 and 4. Joseph.
Oh,
Buchanan. At the stripe, I think it's Buchanan.
yeah.
Wow.
He just laying back and waiting.
Chevy Camaro. Again, Christine Jenkins. You've joined us all season long in 2025. You saw Christine and Rat Robs tie the knot. Back at our Midsummer Thrill Show, the honeymoon continuing.
A little premature.
Waiting on the green. Green is out. Here we go. Silva with the advantage down into 1 and 2. Gingras. Working right to the back bumper. Going to try a crossover move. Yep. Into 3 and 4. Gingras on the advantage line. Pushes Silva up the track. Christine Gingras.
He went wide, she went under, and away we go.
Well, the Flex got to the line first here to start.
Well, yeah, it doesn't need to warm up his tires like the Corvette does. Because watch this.
Green is out. There goes the Chevy.
Of course, he's out there doing it.
Down the back stretch. Flex gonna get right. Oh! Wow, what a show.
Talk about me, will they?
Bradley knocks off Barrows, but not
Almost literally.
Green is out, into one. Silver, the color here. The Miata, over the stop. Off turn 2. John Gallant, into 3 and 4. Stop with a head of steam into 3. Right to the back bumper, to the outside. Does he have enough time? Checkered flag? Not quite.
Story time. You know what kind of story?
What kind of story?
Sob story.
Down into 1 and 2. Perry gets the advantage. Into 3 and 4, right to the door. Crossover move. Johnson's going to get loose. Off 4, cross the stripe. He's going to hold on and move on. How about that one? Green is out. Down into 1. Bradstreet gets a good jump. Williams. Shot on him there. He's going to have to battle back into 3 and 4. Bradstreet slamming the door once more. Off 4. Gil Bradstreet. Chasing a championship and moving on.
And the guy in Jason is coming out right now.
Jared Smith matching up against Tom Kazunis here. Jared Smith on the outside. Kazunis on the inside. Door to door. Off Smith jumps out to the advantage. Into 3. Holding on here. Kazunis behind him. Checkered flag. Smith moving on. Green is out. Down into 1. Turbo. Charging his way to the front. Down the back stretch. Into 3 and 4, leading the way over Medeiros. Medeiros smokes those rear tires. Checkered flag waves. Johnny Turbo moving on. Jeff Daniels in the Ghostbusters Subaru. Back out there to match up against Franz Weidinger. Pontiac down into 1 and 2. Daniels with the advantage. Weidinger up top. 3 and 4. Daniels going to have to battle back. He's going to get loose.
They both get loose there it is. Franz struck by a hair.
Wow.
He almost got climbed.
GT electric vehicle, a Ford.
Well, it is electric because it's got no door handle. It's got those, like, push-in or whatever the heck they
Yep.
call them, or you come up to them and they come out. I don't know.
And I do believe this is Adam Fournier. Down into 1 and 2. Diaz with the advantage right now. Here comes the electric Ford into 3 and 4 with the advantage up top. Diaz down the bottom here. Across the stripe. Oh!
Yeah, they're racing again.
Diaz got that there at the stripe. At the stripe. Green flag down into one. Fazio gets to the advantage. Buchanan plotting off turn 2. Into 3 and 4. Gets ahead of Steam to the outside. Fazio gonna hold on. Don Fazio moving on. Fourth, the Red Dragon, Christine Gingras. Josh Oliveira, Volkswagen Passat. Green is out. Down into 1 and 2. Oliveira with the advantage. Gingras on the outside. Battling into 3 and 4. Off 4. The Red Dragon picks up the win, moving on.
Now this one's going to be interesting because that dude isn't afraid to push that Beamer, and that dude ain't afraid to push that Corvette either.
This one could get interesting here. Bradley on the inside, Ferreira on the outside. Bradley gets
All right, so much for the interesting part.
good jump.
Look at that, what a sportsman! Oh! Wait a minute, you're not going to wait for him? Wow!
Ferreira!
You know, I got to give him kudos, though. At least he waited for him and said, you know what, get it?
Wow! Being the nice guy might have cost him there, though.
Well, you know, nice guys finish last, or at least, you know, that's what everybody who beat me up said.
Little smoke coming from Bradstreet's machine. Green is down. Down into 1. Bradstreet. Not affected. Working into 3 and 4. Bradstreet with the advantage. Off 4. Across the stripe. Gil Bradstreet. Moving on.
He's moving on. Can Turbo knock down your points leader?
That.
And that could open the door for Gil.
At the stripe, Green is out. Good jump there by Johnny Turbo, but here comes Jared Smith on the outside. 2 into 3 and 4. He's going to go down to the bottom lane, gets a little loose. He's trying to hold on. He will hold on. Jared Smith across the stripe. Jared Smith moving on. Looking at Bradstreet in the infield right now here too. Smoke continues. Franz Weidinger, Jen Bucher. Green is out. Into 1 and 2. Weidinger. On the outside, battling into 3. Weidinger. Gonna hold on. By a nose, Franz Weidinger knocks off Jen Bucher in the Subi.
No, she was pushing that thing too.
Came close there at the end. Louis Diaz out there. David Hall. Green is out. Diaz gets the advantage. Into 1 and 2. Here comes the Stinger on the outside. Diaz holding his own. Stinger with an advantage into 3. Goes high. Diaz holds on. Across the stripe. Louis Diaz moving on. Green flag in the air. Down into 1. The Red Dragon on the inside, nose to nose. Takes the advantage over Ferreira. Into 3 and 4. Christine Gingras. Oh. She's going to hold on, knock off the BMW. Paul Ferreira from Somerset. Sean Fitzgerald. Down into 1 and 2. Advantage over Fielding. Into 3 and 4. Fielding gonna try a crossover move. Not enough time.
Not enough at all.
Franz Weidinger. Moving on.
Well, we're down to the final 4. One of these 2 drivers are going to be in the finale.
It's going to be either the Red Dragon or your points leader. Green is out. Down into 1. Franz gets the jump. Goes to the inside here. Leading the way. Christine Gingras right to the back bumper. Oh! A little bit of landscaping there. Franz going to take home 3rd place.
So Franz will be the 3rd place finisher today. Who fans do we got in the house? How many
Let's see. Best 2 on a 3 here. Here they go. Green is out. Down into 1. Bradstreet with the advantage on this one. Smith on the outside. Into 3 and 4. Bradstreet holding that advantage. Checkered flag waving in round number 1. It's Bradstreet.
So that's first of 2. We still got one more between these 2. It's a best of 3. Now they'll switch lanes.
Here they go at the stripe. Green is out. Down into 1. Bradstreet on the high line this time. Jared Smith on the inside. Down into 3. Smith leading. Bradstreet battling on the outside. Here we go. Off 4. Jared Smith will mean we have a rubber match here. They'll change lanes.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for these 2 as they get ready to go. Our 2025 East Coast Collision Spectator Drag Finale.
Green is out. Here we go. Bradstreet on the inside. Smith on the outside. Smith jumps to the advantage. Here comes Bradstreet battling back. Oh, he pushes him up the track. Oh, Jared Smith.
Jared Smith edges him out for the win. Your 2025 Spectator Drag champion just edging him out.